Hi everyone, this is Fears and Phobias, and in this interview we're going to have a look at the Holy Trinity of fear itself. And this Holy Trinity is an equation of fear plus fear plus fear equals fear, and can evolve into phobia. However, here, this fear plus fear plus fear is actually three different dimensions of fear. So, in other words, it is fear of a fear which creates more fear and can accumulate into a phobia. So, I'm sure everyone would be right now in this moment sitting a little bit confused in relation to what it is that I'm talking about. So let's take a practical example. In front of you, you see three words: fear plus fear plus fear. Okay. Now, underneath the first fear, here you've got to understand that first fear is when you are fearing a fear, which is your second fear. Underneath that, you can, for example, imagine like an fear emotion. There you can draw or imagine a human physical body, and the solar plexus area is red with representing fear energy. Okay, so the first two fears is fear of fear, where one can in one's mind create a fear reaction to a fear reaction. Then the third fear is the third word. Underneath that, you can, for example, draw up an imagination of being in a stormy ocean and the boat is capsizing and that whole scenario is playing out. So what I want you to see here is the three different dimensions of primary fear that one can create within one's mind, and creating like an entire closed system of fear itself. Okay, so there, to recap again, you have the first fear, which is when you fear a fear reaction, which is the second fear, there with the solar plexus, that is red, that represents fear. And then the third fear, the third word, is where you'd imagine the scenario of being in the ocean and the boat is capsizing. Now, that trinity relationship will then equal you always remaining in fear itself, as fear itself. So as long as you fear the fear energy, and that fear energy will then accumulate, and then from there accumulate the other fear, which is representing a scenario of a boat capsizing in a stormy ocean. Now, what we're going to be having a look at within this interview is how to assist and support oneself to not fear itself. Okay. Because as long as your starting point in relation to fear energy is fear, and you approach fear with fear, what's going to happen? You're just going to create more fear. The mind exists in a hierarchy as well. In other words, if you want to look at those 3 points in a hierarchy, you would, for example, have the first fear at the bottom, which is when you fear the fear energy itself, the fear energy being the second layer, or the second hierarchy, and then the third layer being the scenario or the imagination of the boat capsizing. Okay, so let's say you're here at the bottom and you're fearing the fear energy in the second layer. That fear energy is going to accumulate in the second layer into the third layer, which is powering the imagination even more. And now your mind can imagine the boat capsizing and the storm and the detail in which you're drowning and someone's coming to the rescue, and just as it happens, you're being swept underneath, and your imagination can expand. So we're going to start then having a look at the writing and the self-forgiveness and commitment statement at the bottom layer, where you fear itself. Because if you change that relationship, then you won't energize and charge the fear energy. If you don't energize and charge the fear energy, you know, your imagination won't have enough fuel or power or charge to expand.